I wanna get into some classics, I think, at some point. But the
Okay.
classics, sometimes, man, like, I tried to get into, To Kill not To Kill a Mockingbird. What's Ernest Hemingway, For Whom the Bell Tolls? I couldn't really get into that yet, but,
Yeah, a lot of classics are really good at the end. That's the part of a lot of these classics where it's like they're classics because people hated the book the whole way through and then got surprised at the end, like, oh no, there's something here. What do you know? Apparently this guy does know how to write. Huh. Who would have thought? And that's super frustrating to me. I'm
uh
just like, why do this? Because like War and Peace is like that. What is it?
mhm.
Does Crime and Punishment's like that. Like these people don't they do terrible stuff all book and just kind of keep it up. And then in the last 100 pages, like, oh, I'm doing it wrong. There is meaning here. Life does have something worth living for. I'm like, hey man, you really waited a long time to bury this lead. Why? Why? It's like 1,000 pages of nothing. What am I doing
Right.
here? Anyway, there's pros and cons to that. It's not all books, but some. Yes, but so, because I hear The Count of Monte
Okay.
Cristo is
I
like that
mean
too. I haven't even read that one, but they were like, "Yeah, it was just so much revenge and sadness until the end," and he was like, "This was a mistake. I should be better." I'm like, "That's a long time. It's a long time to wait." This is a bi this is a it's a significant book to get into, but anyway, it's interesting, and it clearly has lots of good stuff in it too.
I mean, it's a different time though, right? Because today people's attention span is different, you
Right,
know? Back then, you might sit with a book and go on vacation and chill out and read a book,
right.
but today everything is moving so fast, it's like but it's just like credits. You used to watch a movie and it'd be like 5 minutes of credits.
You're
They don't
right.
even do that anymore because they know people will be gone. If I when I watch an old movie, I'm like, "Man, I can't believe people did this because
Right.
this is boring."
This is terrible. Why is this happening? Like
Right.
yeah, it's keep trying to fast forward
Crazy,
real life.
man.
I'm like, please make this stop."
Man, I was watching basketball with my wife. It's like, cause it's live. I'm like, "Damn, I don't watch live TV. They got commercials."
Right.
And
Uh,
I grew up with these, but I haven't seen these in a long time. It's just I
yeah.
paid to get from the to get rid of the commercials, man. I just hey, but interesting, man. But I mean, like, I think, what was the book that I thought about? The Great
Yeah.
Gatsby. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
I didn't know what the hell I was listening to or hearing.
I mean, there is I have nothing to say about that is exactly my experience every time someone brings this up, like, "It's such a great thing." I'm like, "This is an experience, but I didn't learn anything. I didn't understand why we're talking about this. I didn't like this most of the story. Most of the characters were not my favorite. I don't understand why this is a classic." It's like, "Well, it was one of the first that they ever did, and it was so unique that in its description." I'm like, I mean, I'm happy other writers liked it. Why, as a reader,
Mhm.
am I reading this? Like, I get that it was different from other writers at the time, but it doesn't matter to me. I don't care what other people who
Mhm.
write like this like. I don't get what they're getting out of this, and I'm not getting anything out of it.
I feel like people liked it because it was a part I think the party stuff really makes everybody attracted to it.
Right.
Because the Great Gatsby, you know what I mean? I think they love the great part about it, the rich, filthy rich piece of it. Even
Yes,
though I think he was a bootlegger. Was he a bootlegger? I think he was a bootlegger, right?
something like
Or
that.
did he make
He was in
I
crime
think he
somehow.
was a bootlegger, yeah. Yeah, he was a bootlegger. That's how he made his money from the army. It's a pretty good show tune. I mean, for Broadway, it was pretty nice. I liked it.
Yeah, yeah, the
Um,
musical's fine. I think that part's cool.
yeah. But the Brothers Karamazov, you ever heard of that before?
Brothers Karamazov, yeah, that's good. That one
Karamazov.
and, Karenina, something like that. Anyway, those those are supposed to be his best books, and I'm like, "Alright, okay, it might be Tolstoy." I think it's Dostoevsky. Check that out.
Okay.
I think you're right. But either way, I hear people
Okay.
love the books. They think it's a really great talk about, um, yeah, just the culture of, all the Russians and whatnot. Yeah, Dostoevsky, you're right. There we go. So That's cool. I think that'd be good. I think if you want, you should put East of Eden on your list.
I think you
East
told
of
me
Eden.
about that.
Yeah, Steinbeck. It's 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 an interesting story. There's a lot of good parts, and like the writing is great. And then there's like a hopeful, aspirational part, maybe three-fourths of the way in, and that's like the highlight of the book for me. I'm like, oh, this was great. This part was a good reason to read the book. But it's a
Mm.
it's kind of a slog, but it's got a lot of good parts in it that's worth it. And if you ever want some fantasy or fiction kind of stuff, you let me know. There are a lot of really good sci-fi books or fantasy books that I think that are worth reading. So that's how I burn through all my credits.
I gotta find one that I actually like, man. Cause the thing is, man, with books in general, just fiction, anything fiction, it's hard for me to get through a fiction book anyway. Only reason I can kinda get through a fiction book is because it's because of Rand and how the way she writes is a different kind of
Right.
fiction. I wouldn't even say that it's great, it's just that I like what the people are saying. You know, it's
Hmm.
inspiring in a sense. That's kind of what it is. I don't know if I would say motivating, but I guess motivating and inspiring the same thing to me. And I like it. It pulls me through the book less because
Right.
a lot of times it's a lot of parts of the book that I don't like. To be honest with you, when she starts trying to explain everything to the T and or give you some kind of a visual, it's not really a visual. Well, it is, I guess, but whatever. I like the meaning, the speeches. I always just wait for the speeches. That's all I'm waiting for the whole time. Trying to listen to it with my wife, The Alchemist. I'm trying to figure out like why did I like this? I liked it the first time I listened to it. Now I'm listening
Yeah.
to it again. I'm like, what? What did I like here? I don't know.
I mean, The Alchemist is for a time. Like it you have to read that book at a time when you really are wondering, how does this all fit together? Is there meaning in life? How are people navigating this whole thing? Like it answers some of those questions in a really conceptual, unique way, I guess. And I wasn't at the right time to read it because when I read it, I was just like, so this guy's bad at this. None of these things that he's saying are literally true, and I don't think they're meant to be. I think all these things are metaphors, and I hate this. I think this is a bad metaphor. This is not accurate at all. Why are we talking about this? It's like, well, he's figuring it out as he goes. I'm like, I don't think he is. I think he's just going through more things. I don't think he's any better than he was before. Huh. All right. I'm
No,
expecting him to do this better than he anyway, my goal is different than the author's.
I mean, well, I get it. I guess I think what happens as I when I remember it, I think it's just more of a like a sense of life type of deal. Because I remember when I listened to it, it just made me think some people are dim lights and some people are bright lights. And some people keep a childish vibe throughout their life and some people seem to kill it. And that's
Mhm.
what I remember when I finished it. But
That's fair.
that's one thing though. It's one of them things where it's like, I don't have to understand it completely. I understand it obtusely, right? It's
Yeah.
There's sometimes when I meet people or when I see people, it depresses me somehow. And it depresses me from the standpoint of I can like a ignorant person. How can I explain this? Like I can like a person who kept their childish exuberance, but they never developed to balance that childish exuberance with adult rationality, right? But I don't really but I get turned off when I see people squash their youthful exuberance in place of adult rationality. And that depresses me because I'm like, why can't you just grow up and keep your childish exuberance and integrate that with adult
Right.
rationality?
Integrated. There's a time and place for everything. Why didn't you set aside an appropriate time so you can appreciate this instead of just giving up on it? Like, well, I guess I just can't have fun anymore. Can't have good things. I'm an adult. That's what we do now.
Right. Yeah. It's a lot of people like that, man.
Yes.
It's
So a lot of people think maturity means suffering. They're like, maturity is suffering. Life is suffering. That's how we do it. I'm like, all right, that's a sense of life I can't get behind. But I hear you. That sounds
Yeah.
painful.
Yeah. And it's almost like because they can't balance the two, they can't integrate the two. I'll give you an example. Because we aren't able to integrate the two or balance the two society wise, we give kids the impression that you should go out and just get up in your teenage and early 20s,
Right?
because that's just a part of life. You should just
You
do
do.
stupid It's like, I mean, you would make mistakes, yes, but I don't think that you need to go and do that. I don't think that that's something that you have to go and do is just drinking to the point that you pass out and all of those crazy things and just call it fun because you were a teenager. They probably should have let you have a better set of fun because people think that's fun. The thing that's crazy is like people who think that's fun when they get older, like, well, I can't have fun anymore.
Right.
No, maybe your idea of fun was just dumb.
Right. Maybe you were doing it wrong. Have you ever thought about maybe not f up your whole life when you have fun? Is that a thought?
Yeah, but people don't do. They think that fun is damn near dying. I guess I don't know.
Right. It's gotta be super risky. Otherwise, are you even alive if you're not out here risking it all? Like, so many other ways to do this. Of course. Of course you're gonna be alive.
Yeah, man, this is ridiculous. I don't know how you fix it because I think the therapists talk about it, but they don't really follow through. I think I think people just repress, and they don't come up with a healthy way to release. It's like we
Yeah.
gotta live in this dichotomous faction.
You can always try to get people point people in the right
Or
direction, but
duplicitous.
they gotta take the steps. That's always the struggle. Like, the therapist can tell you all the right answers, but if you don't do all the things, then it's still your life to live. And so people, frequently just, hear therapists and like, "Well, that does sound nice. That sounds right, but it also sounds hard. Nah, I'm not gonna do that because can't be inconvenienced."
Can't be, it can't. But I think it's just a lot of fear though, man.
Yeah.
Because I was watching this show yesterday, it was 90 Day Fiance. And it's this one girl, she got involved with somebody. Basically, she got some issues. She got involved with somebody that you already know that wasn't in. It's like she tried to make him be good and he was playing a role. He does what he does. And he cheated on her and she got upset. But she felt guilty for him because he was hurt. And she keeps coming back, even though he's like, yeah, I went to go see my girlfriend and blah, blah, blah. And she just keeps feeling guilty. And then she went and got like this older dude because I think she felt safe. You know how like women like to make the safe choice at some point in time. But it's like, I don't understand. Instead of just these extreme decisions that people make, they just can't think about it and make a little better decisions. Like, no, I gotta go and get the extremely older person because I
Mhm.
know this person isn't going to cheat on me and isn't going to leave me. It's like you want to be in a relationship of this person won't cheat, this person won't cheat on me.
Right.
They're old and decrepit.
Insecurity is not a foundation to build a relationship on.
Nah, man. And people do that though. But they
You
make it
do it.
seem. But
Like, I don't know why this wouldn't work. It's just it seems perfect. I didn't do the thing I did before. No, but like it's a road. And there's 2 ditches, and you just went from one ditch and you crossed all the way over to the other
right,
ditch. Like that's not better. Like, I don't understand why this didn't work. I'm like, but that's the whole point. You're not healthy enough to understand why this didn't work. If you could have gone back to the
right.
premise of why you got in the ditch the first time, you could have said, I could just become a human being. And so I could realize I have these weaknesses and I could shore up these weaknesses by actually addressing these things and meeting my needs in a real way. I could build a personality that's self sufficient. I could go and build positive relationships in my life so that when it comes time for me to say, I want to add to this relationship a romantic portion that's more committed, you would know what it would take. You would know what your boundaries are. You would know what your deal breakers are. You'd be able to have that conversation a lot clearer to say, I need to get these needs met. How well are you meeting? Are you even able to meet the needs? And if you're able, how willing are you to do it? That'd be a much different conversation than just, let me just do the opposite thing of the thing I did before. Like, oh, yeah, that's not the same at all. You won't know what you need or if it's gonna be met if you actually don't take time to become aware and then actively build that practice into your life.
Two things, right? Do people even help and teach you that that's what you're supposed to be doing? I don't know that they do.
Mm,
That's one thing. And then the other part is It's an incremental thing. Like a lot of times I feel like people think that you don't have the answers. Like, whoa, whoa, no, I didn't say I had the answer for all time. That's not how this works.
Not how
It's
this works,
incremental.
right? We are all learning as we go. We're putting pieces together where
Yeah.
we're learning from mistakes, we're calibrating. None of us have a perfect play by play of this is what you need to do. You do this, you'll have this perfect result every time. It's like that is not a rational expectation for human life. That's not what we're doing here on Earth.
Nah. But then it goes back to, has anyone helped you understand that?
Right.
Because I guess if you leave a kid out in the wilderness, they would never get to that point unless they had some, they was super, super wise and probably like 80, 90 years old. But if you got a wealth of knowledge to pull from over thousands or hundreds of years, you can have all of that and still nobody would pass down this knowledge to help you. Just like with a lot of what we're seeing now. This is the thing. That's the thing that kills me with the kids, especially black kids. Like they
Mhm.
are effectively being retarded, not somebody is producing retarded children. That they're making them retarded, like on purpose, because they're forcing them not to have to uh, be objective about themselves, right?
Crazy.
Everything is like I already have someone to blame for an issue, and it's I told you, like for me, the thing that kind of made me, it was a light switch flip for me when I saw what was his name, Tony Tony Penn, Dr. Tony Penn. And he was doing that talk in DC about black humanism. He was like, "What's the difference between black humanism and just humanism?" And he was like, "Black people had a different response to the Enlightenment." And I was like, "Oh, oh, they just rejected reason. They thought reason was racist. Like they just, you know." And I'm like, I, it just drew such a bold, broad line for me because I'm like, nah, I really like reason. I don't really care what anybody else thinks about this. like like
Mm.
I am I want to be objective. I want to understand reality for what it really is so I can adjust and have a better life.
And
That's
everybody
that's
who's
what I want.
successful and everybody who moved things forward, like black or white, they did. They accepted reason, they looked at reality, and they used that to calibrate things until they were more successful. And so I always find that very frustrating when people start talking to say people rejected reason is too broad a brush. I'm like, that's a generality that you could say when you see someone actively making terrible choices, you're like, this person rejected reason. And you see a significant part of culture, like, yep, they did it. That's not working for them. There is a system that is rewarding bad behavior. Okay. I could see how that could happen and how that could perpetuate itself. Fair. But, the solution is always the same, to confront the system, point out where it clearly is failing people, and then offer them another way out. It's like, what if you didn't just up the whole time? What if everything wasn't blamed on somebody else? What if you took back some of your own, you know, quote unquote power and just had the option to make better choices? What if you could finally reach your goals in a real way and had control over that? Wouldn't you want that? Wouldn't you want not to wait for the people who hate you to be the only ones to gatekeep this thing that you say you want?
I mean, I understand that. The thing that troubles me is because there's definitely going to be a section of society that's going to have to deal with. like, It's like when I was a kid, my father had the saying like, "You don't think stink, fool." You know, what I mean? You don't think doo doo stink or whatever. And this is effectively like people who you can't really educate them on. Hey, you don't want to go that way. That's not a right way.
Right, they
And
don't
for
start
them, you can't but you can't give them reasons why. They're just like, nah, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's like,
yeah,
well, you're
you have
gonna
no
have to die to
right.
learn. It's not. I don't want you to have to die to learn. I don't want you to have to lose a limb to learn. Like
Yeah,
you
the
can
risk is too
understand
high.
things conceptually. You don't have to experience it, those things.
Sometimes you can
So,
learn from other people's
but
mistakes. You don't have to make them all yourself.
the thing that bothers me is that it affects the black culture disproportionately, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, the people who have the least amount of resources have the least amount of margin. They don't get to make a bunch of mistakes to figure it out. They get one or two chances. If you squander that, it's over. And so, in that sense, there are a lot of black people who are still poor, who are still in a significant oppression way, or at least they're significantly depressed state, where it's like, okay, you don't have the resources to guess. You don't have the resources to just operate on wishful thinking. That's not a successful strategy for anyone. And since you have nobody else to pick up the slack for you, yeah, you need to learn from other people who've tried it and tried it this way. But that requires you to do the research. It requires you to actively be open to listening to another way. And not everybody gets there. Not everybody stays there. And so therefore, there's only a certain amount of people you can help. There are people who are actively looking for answers, who are trying things and failing and trying things and failing. They're like, I wish I could stop failing. I'm like, and then when they finally hit rock bottom, when they finally get desperate enough, sometimes they listen. Sometimes they're ready for another uh, suggestion as far as have you tried?
Think of it like this. Let's say reason, because people, nobody, there's a continuum, right?
Right.
Because, like you said, it could be taken the wrong way. What you said before, like everybody who's successful uses reason, but people when they're doing the successful thing, they typically are using reason at that time. But
Mhm.
a lot of times they flip flop from using reason to just total irrationality.
You're right. No one's 100% or absolutely one thing all the time.
But that's a big deal though, right? Because I don't like to talk in black and white terms, but if I were to use black and white terms, I think there's a lot of white people who can use reason irrationally. Like it's a part of their instinct. It's that it's almost like, so think of it like a dogmatic. I think of
Unconscious.
it like from a religious perspective, from a hey, this is how you do things. And they just like, all right, well, this is how you do things. They're
Right.
not really thinking of it in depth. They thinking like, well, okay, of course I need to cut my grass, do this, that, and the other, pay my bill, blah, blah, blah. Some people pay their bills because it's something that is conscious in them, but some people just like, oh, this is what we do. This is how it's
What
done.
we do. These are the rules we
But then
follow.
even those actions, yeah, but those actions also can bring you some sort of success just by being
Yeah.
like embedded in your culture. You know
Yeah.
what
If
I'm
you
saying?
copy the culture.
Yeah, but you can pay a cost if you don't have that embedded in your culture
Mm-mm.
to the point that it's past the threshold to where it's still you can be seen as an individual and as a group of having good lives. That's like that's a thin slice, but that thin slice can really take you from good life to bad life. You
Real
know what I'm
quickly.
saying?
Yeah. I think there's a whole lot of traditions that have been passed down that are functional in the sense of like, this is very practical and pragmatic. It's going to keep you alive. If you grow up learning all these things and these are your customs and they're doing the things that keep you alive, that's huge in comparison to people who haven't even figured it out yet, or people who reject all these traditions and just say, I'm just going to do whatever I feel like doing throughout the time. Like, well, people have tried that. It didn't work out great for them. We found some things that work better than others. You can learn this whole new way of life if you want and, receive these benefits or reject it and have to make it up for yourself. And sometimes it'll work and sometimes it'll be much, much worse. But yeah, the margin for error is huge.
Yeah. But it's disappointing because
Yeah,
it's just that slim. It's
it is.
just that slim. I like that. I think John Locke said it. It's not a question of degree, it's a question of direction. Because a lot of times you'll hear people say something like, well, if you do that, well, how much is that going to help? Like, wait. Help. Help is good.
Right.
When something helps, it's a good thing. I'm not sitting here worried about, because people will defeat themselves like, well, I could do this thing and it would help. But and then they start projecting about how much is it gonna help. Like, yo, you need help.
Right. It's
You should start with help to get help.
like it's not this may not be the best option or the perfect option. It may not, but right now you need an option. And this is here as a rung up
Yes.
the ladder. Is it your, is it the only rung? No. Is it something that's going to move you closer toward your expressed goal? It's worked that way for everybody else. You should try it. It's worth trying just from that portion. I almost wish people would just give people like a algorithm or a specific criteria to say, like, you need to make a decision by this time. Just as a human being, you need to make decisions within a 1 hour to 3 day time period. And regardless of how much information you have at that time, when you hit this deadline, you have to make a decision anyway. These are the criteria we're looking for to make a right decision. This is what we call enough information. You need to know if it's going to decrease your risk, if it's going to increase your benefits, and it's going to help you long term. So when you have these generalities, you can make a lot of decisions relatively quickly and then calibrate from there because nothing is going to be perfect. You're not going to have perfection. That's not what we're expecting. Expecting you to move in the right direction.
Yeah. But people, yeah, like you said, but people defeat themselves because they think, I mean, just like when people like, well, such and such got $1 billion and such got $1 million. Like, whoa, you thinking about the wrong man. You it's just what is this little measly check I'm gonna get? It's gonna feed you. But you gotta have the value of being independent also. It's like,
I mean, that helps. But just look, th- there are people who drop the context of life is hard. You could die. There are real risks. And they're just like, but I
right.
didn't get the highest amount of benefits from everything I did. You did not. And you know what? Most people didn't. But I want that. What do you want me to do? Just settle? I want you to live. I want you to live long enough to make the next decision. You know, see how that's
Right.
important. Important to you. You're the one who says you want to do this. You went out there, you woke up and you worked and you acted in order to keep yourself alive. So you care about this. Maybe not consciously, but you know, you do. So
Yeah,
now
that's the
now we need to
problem.
find a way to encourage you to live a little bit longer, even if it's not your best life, all at every second of every day.
Good, man. That yes. And look, I don't like it either. You know what I'm saying? I want it all now to myself. But
Mhm.
it's just like you said, it just does not work like that.
Mm-mm.
People always wanna look at where somebody got to, and they don't really like looking at the work that people did, but to get to where they got to,
Thank you. I'm
you
like,
know?
what about the price they paid to get here? This person had a whole lot of not that for years, sometimes decades. So I hear
Yeah,
you. You're like, I really want things. I'm like, I hear you. We all really want things, but that's not the question. The question is, are you willing to pay this price? And have you paid this price in such a way that or where this thing worked out for you? It doesn't always work out this way, even if you pay the price.
yeah. I saw who did I Trevor Noah. Trevor Noah, I caught one of his clips, and he's like, "I have a beef with Disney," or "I'm really upset with Disney because they made it seem like things would work out." The fairy tale or whatever they were saying, he was
Right.
saying. And he was like, "But things don't actually turn out that way." Like, he wanted the narrative, the story
Hmm.
to be representative of every situation that ever happened
Right.
always. And I'm like, that's not a goal or aspiration. That's who would want that story?
Right.
But his thing is like, but they don't actually turn out that way. He's like, people think that, you know, a world nobody would let Trump be the president and he's going to pay one day. It's like, but no, he's not ever going to pay one day. And but that I understand where he's coming from, but his answer is not a rational answer because I do think that there are a lot of people who will think, well, bad people are going to get their day one day. Even if they think that it's in the afterlife, it's like sometimes sometimes they're never going to be like discomforted or keep living the lifestyle they live. There's no guarantee that bad people will get payback. Some people do believe like,
Exactly.
oh, they're going to get it.
Right. Karma's gonna happen. They're gonna they're gonna finally be fully paid back for every wrong thing they've ever done. It's like that's not how that works. And when Trevor's like, "Hey, Disney didn't teach us these things," I'm like, "No, that was your parents' job. Disney didn't raise you. Disney said, I will distract you with something aspirational and fun and fantasy if you give us money. And people gave them money, and they gave them a lot of money. And Disney was like, we're going to do more of that. We're going to do more of the thing they want money for. And if people would have given them money to accurately reflect reality, they would have given, Disney would have done that. But people ask to say, I need an escape from reality. Reality is terrible. What if the bad guy actually got some sort of justice? What if the good guys actually won? What if something good actually happened?
Mm,
I would like to have an aspirational story to motivate myself. Hope is one's fuel or joy is one's fuel. I mean, all these things motivate and encourage the soul, which I think is great. But that's a different
right.
job than parenting someone, raising someone, and giving them clarity on like, life is hard and difficult, and you're going to have to push through some things, and things aren't always fair. In fact, they're mostly not fair unless you get enough power to make it fair. And that's fine in your little area where you make it fair. But nature by itself is not fair. Right now, there's going to be a lot of animals in the jungle just killing each other, and it's not fair, but it is going to happen.
I mean, that part, I don't know. I just think it's an unrealistic expectation from story itself. Like, I
Yes.
don't even it's not even the parenting aspect. I get what you're saying, but from a story, this is why we get these pitiful stories because they feel like I'm giving you the real. It's like, no,
Right.
you're giving me the mid. Like, this is a
Yes.
story. What do I need a mid for? It's like if I go into a test, hey, we want to get a 77. Why would I want to get a 77? If I'm going in at looking for a 77 and I get a 75, then I'm like, yeah, this is great. If I go in looking for 100 and I get a 75, I'm like, I don't really like it. So you
Nah,
need your expectations to be higher, man.
I can't have everybody shooting for average just because it's the most common thing. It's like everyone's experienced this, so this has to be the part we have to demonstrate on TV because this is true to life. Like, but that's actually not the goal. Like, I hear you. These things happen, but that's actually not what I want to happen. I want there to be a better thing. Please show me what it's like when the better thing happens. Now I know what to shoot for. Now I know how it feels even when I'm shooting for it. And this is a much more motivating show to watch than just saying, you could experience what you've already experienced in the past, or you could experience something that's clearly less than the best that we have to offer.
Yes. But this, I don't know, man. I can't stand it. It's such a pitiful approach to things, man. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I guess you see it so much, and I feel like I haven't read any Dostoevsky or whatever, but I just feel like it's probably got elements of that in it. I think that they think that they're giving, look, I'm giving you the reals. You can't write any story that's the real. There is no story that's the real, you know,
Yes. Your
because it's a
perspective.
story.
There you go. It's gonna have your bias in it because you're writing it every time.
And you're telling me what you want me to hear, and you're telling me what part of it you want me to focus on. And if it wasn't that, then I wouldn't even wanna see that because I would
Mhm.
just be like, I could just go outside and it would be
You
better
just
than the
go
story.
outside. Exactly.
Oh, man, but and then that's why to me, that's why you get movies like Moonlight and these
Mm.
mid-ass movies. Is just something happened to a person and they're different. Didn't you see? What?
Yeah,
Something
that's
happened.
it's so
Things
sad
happen.
that there's so much potential for people to use this as as a way to effectively teach people about not only the fact that someone went through something different, but that person who went through something different is virtuous and has strengths and has weaknesses, but has strengths that they use to do something that's admirable. I'm like, that is a complete possibility at any moment in time. Create the create the perspective that different is not bad. It just happens to be different. It has its own pros and cons. I'm like, sure, that's a story worth telling. Please finish telling your story. But they really stop at the different part. Like, this person is different. And that means it's good. And therefore, you should feel bad about this person not getting things that they want. I don't know if I feel bad about that. Do they want good things? Or do they just want things? Because I don't know that we talked about the part where they did something good that was worthy of respect, or they want something good that is going to make anything better. Huh. Seems like we skipped that whole part of the story. It's almost like we didn't write this.
I I just think I don't know. For me, I think people do it out of fear or just it's a little bit of immaturity for it to me, but you see it so much. It's
Yes.
so prevalent and it's disappointing to me. I want you to check out this one little piece. It's like a 3 minutes.
Put it in there. Let's check it out.
You excuse me, but I know I am speaking a marvelous accent without the slightest English. Now, you know, you won't believe it. Gray hair, my age, I started taking flying lessons recently. And you know what my flying instructor told me? If you are starting here, wish to get here, say east, heading for this, and you have a crosswind, you will drift and you will land here. So you have to do what we pilots call crabbing, he told me. C-R-A-B, crabbing. You have to head for north of this airfield, and you have to fly that way, you see, as if you headed in this direction. If you are heading here above this airfield, then you will actually land here. But if you head for here, you are landing here. This holds also for man, I would say. If we take man as he really is, we make him worse. But if we overestimate him, it's premature, your applause, you will soon know why. If we seem to be idealists and are overestimating, overrating man, and looking at him that high, here above, you know what happens? We promote him to what he really can be. So we have to be idealists in a way, because then we'll wind up as the true, the real realists. And you know who has said this? If we take man as he is, we make him worse. But if we take man as he should be, we make him capable of becoming what he can be. This was not my flight instructor, this was not me, this was Goethe. He said this verbally. And now you will understand why I, in one of my writings, once said, this is the most apt maxim and motto for any psychotherapeutic activity. So if you don't recognize a young man's will to meaning, man's search for meaning, you make him worse, you make him dull, you make him frustrated, you still add and contribute to his frustration. While if you presuppose in this man, if in this so-called criminal or juvenile delinquent or drug abuse and so forth, there must be a what we call spark, a spark of search for meaning. Let's recognize this, let's presuppose it, and then you will elicit it from him, and you will make him become what he in principle is capable of becoming.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Hope matters.
Um,
Aspiration matters. Aiming higher matters. That definitely makes a lot of good sense. And I appreciate when people can fully appreciate the fact that, like, hey, you get what you aim for, but it's super helpful to aim for something that's higher than where you are.
yeah. I mean, I like the fact that he made his point in terms of physics, right? Because it kind
Right.
of lands for a person who wants to be a realist. Because a lot of people be like materialist and realist, and they're like, well, they always want to stick to, they don't understand the aspirational, they don't understand the spiritual, they don't understand the intellectual. They just be like, this thing, A went to B and B went to C and such and such and such. It's like, so, and I think it's cool to make the turn. I mean, make the case in the laws of like physics,
That
man.
works. It's clear. It's a clear
So
metaphor. It works for quite a few things.
yeah, yeah, man. But the last thing for me is like when I see something like that, I it it bothers me to the point where I'm like, wait a minute. People already knew what I'm trying to say, and people said it a lot. Why don't people say it anymore? Why do I have to say it
Mhm.
again? I'm irritated by that.
Yes, yes. It's funny that you're like, "This problem has been solved, this problem has been addressed, and right people aren't paying attention." Now, granted, it requires some research for people who've never been exposed to it and aren't being told about this on a daily basis. But for the rest of the people who know it, like, Viktor Frankl was is within the past 100 years. Clearly, lots of people have heard about him. And so, like, the fact that
Right.
it's not common knowledge what he said and some of his main points, it's very disappointing. I'm just like, I had to read Diary of Anne Frank in school, but I couldn't learn one thing about Viktor Frankl. This is crazy. Like, what possible benefit did I get from learning that this girl had to hide in the attic? I mean, you couldn't tell me one thing about the guy who actually survived from the camps.
Yeah.
You couldn't even, like, sprinkle it in 12 years of actual school? Anyway, it shows our
Yeah.
society's priorities, and it makes me disappointed when it comes to knowing that there are answers that would be super helpful for me, but I have to go search them out.
I mean, but part of that, I get that part. I understand searching them out, but I think it's somehow weeded out because I didn't go to school like for the philosophy and all of that stuff, but I don't think that they want to teach any of this stuff anymore.
They don't.
That's what I'm getting from it. I just think that they think like different, the new and different. We need to learn about other stuff too. Why? No reason. It's different. It's just different stuff.
Yes.
It's just
If you can
other
see
people
something
say
different,
stuff too.
that makes you cultured. That is the thing I hear the most, and that's the part that makes me the saddest is when people say, "I just want to travel. This way I can become enlightened." They're like, "If I just go different places that are as different here, I will be exposed to different things, and that will make me a more virtuous person." And I'm like, I don't think that's how virtue works. I don't unless the virtue you're talking about is traveling, I don't think that's how virtue works. Like it does not make sense to me. You being sad here versus you being in a whole new country and being sad there doesn't make you a different person. You did not gain any actual, you did not grow as a person to do these things. Now, there are hardships you could face and you could overcome those hardships there. And that's something. You could also overcome those hardships here. I mean, I don't really care where you overcome the hardships. I do care that
Right.
you are more intentional about developing virtue. There are real ways to do this that don't require you to backpack through Europe or pick a safari or do some other random volunteering. Like, there's nothing wrong with those things. Just don't use them as a substitute for self development or maturity.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. People do, because a lot of people, I think it's a running away type of thing. And look, there's something to be said for like, all right, you might like a certain way of life or whatever. That's cool. It's fine with me. I guess the issue that I have is when it comes back and and it requires something of me. That's the line that I try to draw.
Mhm.
Because what typically happens is people will be like, hey, other people do different things in another way. And I'm like, is it better? And
Right?
it's like, well, and the answer is a lot of times what you get back because you're dealing with a person who isn't dealing with reasons. Like, who's to say what better is?
Right.
And then my answer is like, well, we don't have to have this conversation. You can go and do the thing that you want to do.
Hmm.
But don't come back to me and say, hey, I now need your help because this thing over here that I was doing didn't give me the result that I was. Like, whoa, you didn't want to talk about it. You didn't even want to address to see if it was better or not. But now you expect me to come and fix something?
Right?
Nah. You see, it's just like you ever seen Falling Down? The movie Falling Down with
Oh.
Michael Douglas. When the guy he was walking on the golf course, when the guy hit the golf ball, and it's just like, I'm trying to walk through, sorry. And he's like, get off my golf course. And he tried to hit him with a golf ball. He was like, see? 'Cause so he had a bag full of guns. So he tried to hit him with a golf ball, and he pulled out a gun, and the old man started having a heart attack. And he
Mhm.
was like, he's like, "Oh, you see what happens because you wouldn't let me walk through your golf game? See, now you're gonna die with that funny little hat on. How does it feel?"
Yes. Awesome.
But this but that's the thing, like, people like to set fires, then say, "Oh my god, Imma die in a fire. You gotta
Mhm.
come save me." Oh, fuck you, die. And it's not and then they're like, "You're so mean." It's like, "No, I told you, stop setting fires.
Right.
What do you want me to do?
Right.
You want me to change my life every day just because you can't learn to stop setting fires and getting caught in." It's this whole thing of like, I wanna set up an unnecessary situation that I want you to inconvenience yourself to come save me.
Right.
No,
Or
no.
come save some random third party that I happen to feel bad about today. I think that's my least favorite thing. When someone's just like, "I have a feeling and you need to come fix it. I felt bad because I saw there were dogs in the street and they needed help. So I picked up all these dogs and I carried them home with me. But they couldn't stay at my home and I can't feed them. You need to feed these dogs." I'm like, I don't know what's happening today, but, like, none of those things make any sense to me. Like, you did not, at one point in time, ask me who I was, what my values are,
No.
and what I wanted to do. So now that you're over here begging for things, I almost wanna fight you. Like, I you are inconveniencing my life in a way that is not rational. Like, you're trying to guilt me into helping you, but you're only serving to inconvenience me in a way that makes me angry enough to say, "Never do this again. Just I need to teach you to never do this again." How can I communicate that this is not acceptable?
True. And that's exactly what it is. And that's how I view politics. I have
Yes.
this thing that I really care about that I can't do anything for, so I need you to do things for this thing that I really care about.
Right.
So you should put down the things that you wanna do to do this thing that I need you to do over here. No,
No, not at all.
beat it.
No way, shape, or form. But I really need it. You probably do, but, like, I'm really telling you no. I I don't care about that. You're so cold-hearted. I mean, sometimes you can pretend that that's the reason. I also might just be,
Right.
rational and try to care about myself and my loved ones. Like, I'm not gonna take food out of my kid's
I
mouth
got people too.
to, like, play your game for whatever random thing you care about today. That's not a good trade. This is a trade. It's just not
Right.
I'm not gonna do that. Nor should I. Like,
And you
it would be
can't
unethical to
no.
neglect and abuse my kids to go ahead and give your random pet project their money and food. That's I should not divert resources from the people who I care about and who need it to help you do a thing that you just feel like you wish you wanna do.
Right. And this is the way that you become virtuous.
Thank you.
That was you saw an issue, you took issue with it, you put in your effort, and that's your track.
That's your
I
thing.
applaud you. Actually, you know what? I might donate to your cause,
Right.
because you know what I'm saying? I am I see what you're doing, I appreciate it. I don't have time to come over there, but here, take this $20
There you go.
and add it to whatever you're doing. But people don't wanna yeah, that's
I mean, and
that's
they are allowed to ask. That's certainly fine. I'm not trying to step on people's freedom of speech or whatever. I'm just when they ask, they have to know that if they don't make an actual appeal to the people who share these values, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't change the people that they're talking to, and it doesn't mean the people th're talking to are bad. They just don't share those values.
right. It's not even that I don't share the values sometimes, Josh. It's that I didn't incur the situation that
Hmm.
invoked the feeling in me.
Right.
Like, it's not that I don't care about the kid that's starving out there, but you saw the kid. I didn't see the kid. I didn't have the experience.
Right.
So, since you had the experience, you need to do the thing that fulfills you. I don't have the connection to that person. I saw another kid. I saw a kid in California. You saw a kid in New York. I saw a kid in California. I'm going to work with the kid that I saw. You
Thank
should work with the kid that you saw. You know what I'm
you.
saying? So yeah, man. But that's unfortunate.
It
Yeah,
is.
whatever.
It
It
is.
is what it is. It's be nice to just kind of like figure out ways to help it be better.
I mean,
That's
context, I
all.
think, is key. I think that's every time I see someone doing something that I think is less worthy of investment or resources, I think it's helpful to remind people, like, there are other options. There are You are so concerned about looking good and being in the good category and trying to be the virtuous person. Let me remind you about virtue. These are some things that other people who are virtuous have done. It was super helpful. I'm like, oh, you need to give me all your resources
Mm,
so you can feed these stray cats. I'm like, I hear you. I hear you. There were people in the past who saw the orphans and the widows, and they were actually went and fed these children on the street. So they weren't on the street anymore. And now they were like real people and members of society. It's great. Those people still exist. They're still starving right now. I think we of the things that I would love to see, I would like to encourage. I will give you money to go help these orphans and widows. I can't do that. I don't even know where they all
mm,
are. But you seem like you want to be that
right,
person. You want someone to
right,
look at you as if you are go do the virtuous thing, and I'll give you money for that. But just because you feel bad
right.
because you saw an animal one time that didn't have enough things, I'm like, I mean, I'm not saying that's not good at all. It's just on the level of things we should do. I think you should probably work on the virtuous thing first and then get to the extra things later. It's nice to be nice to animals, but I think you should take care of the people who are actively starving around you with their hands out first. You can't live their
I
lives for
mean,
them,
yeah,
but you can offer them a handout or a hand up or at least offer them what you have. And that's something to say, I can respect that. That's a value I can get behind.
yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah. It's just that I like being heavy handed because I just think that people don't get enough of that because I like to make it real.
Right.
Nothing says real like don't play with me or I will
Exactly.
hurt you.
Hint, hint. There are consequences for your action.
Right, and it's not even on no tough guy stuff. I always laugh because people do things to protect killers in the streets indirectly. Like they don't say that I want to protect killers, but they'll be against the law. Like Pooh
Yeah.
Shiesty can rob Gucci Man and make him sign a contract at gunpoint, and people are like, well, Gucci Man shouldn't be snitching on him, and they should free Pooh Shiesty. You know, guns sometimes go off in robberies and kidnappings, and that's the thin line between a murder and
Mhm.
a crime. So these things that y'all are advocating for is not really helpful,
Mm-mm.
But my whole point is like, well, y'all so lenient when it comes to that type of person that go hard and not necessarily you could be killed, could be hurt, could it be whatever. I'd rather do it for the good stuff.
Thank you.
So I'm just gonna go hard for the good stuff. That's how I look at it. You know?
Yes.
And so instead of getting shot at on the block for some dope, I'll get into it over values. That's how I look
Yeah.
at it.
Over values, get over our rights, make sure we can set things up so that we and the rest of our loved ones can actually prosper. It's like, let's do that.
Right.
Let's protect them.
Yeah.
Let's defend them. And let's go ahead and give them better options for the future.